Tonight, as you settle in for rest, allow yourself to drift into a deeper knowing, one that doesn't come from books or the outside world, but from the silent truths already echoing within you, the thoughts that float through your mind in the soft moments before sleep aren't random, nor are they powerless. They are the sculptors of your reality. That gentle space where you hover between waking and dreaming is where the true alchemy happens. It's easy to believe. Imagination is a form of escape, a playful indulgence of the mind. But what if it's far more? What if it's the very mechanism through which life unfolds? What if those quiet pictures you paint behind closed eyes are not fiction, but blueprints, drafts of a reality preparing to manifest? Right now, in the comfort of stillness, I invite you to step into a practice that doesn't require effort, only permission. You don't need to strive or force anything into being. Instead, this is your chance to relax, to soften, and to let your desire settle into your bones, as if it has already been answered. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Forget pleading, forget hoping. Tonight, we step beyond hope into knowing. Visualize not the wish, but the life that exists after it has come true. Imagine waking up in a world where your deepest dream is no longer a dream, but your morning routine. Feel the texture of that moment. What's around you? Who's with you? What emotions bubble quietly beneath the surface? Not excitement alone, but something richer. Something like peace, like familiarity, like, of course this is my life. This isn't about seeing to believe. It's about believing to see. And you do that not by demanding, but by embodying. Think of the difference. One asks from lack. The other acts from fullness. One reaches outward. The other expands inward. What we're doing here is choosing to become, rather than to wait. You aren't knocking on the door. You're walking through it. As your body relaxes, your spirit awakens. Your breath deepens. Your thoughts slow. And a space opens up where your inner voice can finally be heard. And that voice, it doesn't whisper doubts. It doesn't question your worth. It says clearly, this is who I am. This is what I have. This is the truth I now live in. Let that truth wash over you. Not as an affirmation, not as a mantra, but as an identity. Because that's what changes everything. Not the saying of it, but the becoming of it. You see, you aren't here to manipulate the universe into giving you what you want. You're here to align with the version of you that already has it. That version doesn't need to chase. They don't feel anxious or desperate. They don't constantly check for signs or obsess over how. They rest, they trust, they walk in quiet certainty, knowing that what's real inside must become real outside. It's just a matter of time catching up to belief. So tonight, as your eyes close, let go of needing to figure it out. That's not your job. Your only task is to feel deeply, vividly, unshakably, that your wish is not pending, but present. Sink into the weight of it being real, not just mentally, but physically. Let your shoulders drop, your jaw unclench, your chest expand. And now, imagine, not the waiting room, not the journey, not the obstacles. Go to the moment after, the celebration, the sigh of relief, the moment you smile to yourself, because it finally happened, and it feels exactly like this. Let your breath carry you there. Let your heart lead the way. There's no effort here, only a gentle drifting into the world you've already chosen. If what you long for is love, then feel the warmth of being held. Not imagined arms, but real ones, the kind that make you feel seen, understood, safe. If what you seek is abundance, then feel the freedom of choice, the quiet joy of ease, the gratitude that wells up when you realize lack is no longer your story. And if what you crave is peace, then let silence stretch out before you like a path made of clouds. No worries, no noise, just a softness that fills every part of you. until you forget what it was like to carry tension at all. Because here's the secret. The feeling is the doorway. When you reach the state of the wish fulfilled, when you live from it not toward it, something clicks, something aligns, and the universe, obedient as it is, responds. It doesn't need a reason. It doesn't require logic. It only echoes what you believe is true. But beware, even one moment of disbelief can unravel days of faithful creation. So stay with it, stay anchored, and if doubt creeps in, as it often will, do not fight it, replace it, drown it in vision, starve it with certainty. Revisit your inner movie, play it again and again until it becomes more familiar than your current circumstances. Not because you're trying to escape reality, but because you're building a new one from the inside out. And remember, the outer world is a photograph, not the original. It's a printout of an older file. Change the file, and the picture must change too. That's why you don't need to argue with reality. You rewrite it by replacing what you accept as possible. In the sacred space before sleep, your mind is most open. The veil thins, the subconscious becomes porous, and you get to plant new seeds, not with force, not with repetition, but with conviction. Let tonight be your garden. Let your desire be the seed. Let your belief be the sunlight. And let your imagination be the soil in which it grows. Don't look for signs. Don't wait for proof. Be the proof. Walk through your days as if it's already done. Carry that knowing in your posture, in your eyes, in the rhythm of your breath. When someone asks how you're doing, don't say hoping, say becoming. When someone wonders what's next, smile and say, it's already begun. This isn't delusion. This is alignment. This is you choosing to stand in your power, instead of your past. And no matter how many times life has told you otherwise, no matter how long you've waited, it is never too late to change your script. Not by editing what's already happened, but by choosing a different ending, and beginning it now. The version of you that lives in joy already exists. The version of you that feels whole, that feels confident, that walks through the world like it belongs to them. That version is waiting. Not to be created, but to be remembered. So tonight, do more than sleep. Transform. Step into that identity. Let it wrap around you like a second skin. Let it fill your dreams with moments so vivid they feel like memories. Because that's what they are. Memories from a future you've chosen. And as you drift, speak gently to yourself. Not with commands, but with confirmations. I am ready. I am receiving. I am aligned. And let each breath carry those words deeper, until they settle not just in your mind but in your body, in your cells, in your very essence. No striving, no struggling, only soft certainty. Creation doesn't happen in noise. It unfolds in quiet conviction. So as the night deepens, let your faith deepen with it, not in an outside force, but in yourself, in your ability to hold the feeling of your desire fulfilled, until it becomes the only truth that matters. You don't need to shout it to the sky. Whisper it to your soul. Feel it like a heartbeat. Let that be your lullaby. And if you wake in the darkness, remember, it's not a sign of delay. It's a doorway. Walk through it. Re-enter the vision. Let the dream continue. Let it become so rich that the waking world has no choice but to catch up. You are not waiting for life to change. You are changing. And life is following. It always has. It always will. Because you are the center. The axis, the heartbeat of your reality. And reality bends to those who know it already belongs to them. Breathe deeply now. Let it in. You are not asking. You are claiming. Let your breath settle now, like a calm wave rolling onto a quiet shore. Let your mind find its rhythm in the silence. Everything you hold as truth in this moment becomes the foundation of the reality you'll soon walk through. What you accept, not just intellectually, but emotionally, as real, becomes law in your world. So tonight, choose carefully, accept gently, and above all accept fully. There is not a single longing in your heart that isn't already connected to a deeper part of you. You were not given your desires to tease you. They are clues, signposts, pointing to a version of you that already exists beyond time. The moment the desire was born, so too was the way, not forged by effort or sheer force of will, but uncovered through the quiet power of assumption. This is not about chasing. This is about attracting. You are the magnet. You are the signal. And the way you tune that signal, the way you dial into that version of reality, is not through repetition or resistance, but through feeling. So tonight, allow that feeling to rise, not as something you generate, but as something you remember. It's always been there, waiting just beneath the surface. Let it pour into you, into your thoughts, your heartbeat, your skin. Let it soak into your bones, until you begin to glow from within. Feel the joy of it, not the anticipation, but the actual joy, as if the moment has already arrived, as if you're living in the echo of your answered prayer. Not the wanting, not the hoping, but the living, the knowing. Now see something in your mind, not a fantasy, but a scene that could only happen if your wish had already come true. Maybe it's a simple smile, shared with someone you love. Maybe it's the warm sunlight in a new home. Maybe it's your name spoken with pride, your creation admired, your success recognized. Whatever it is, see it clearly, not as something out there, but as something happening now. This scene, this vivid snapshot of fulfillment, is your sacred key. It is your answer, your yes, your divine signal sent into the heart of creation. Loop it gently in your mind, again and again, not like an obsession, but like a lullaby. Let it be the last thing your mind holds before you drift beyond thought into sleep. Because when your subconscious receives that image, when it accepts that feeling as true, it begins to move the pieces, rearrange the patterns, summon the elements, and it speaks a language that is ancient and pure, one of feeling, belief, and inner certainty. The universe isn't looking for your worry, it's listening to your heart's posture. It doesn't answer the question when, with a date. It answers with alignment, with resonance, with mirrored energy. So tonight, don't wait for a sign to feel secure. Be the sign. Don't sit in suspense for permission to feel ready. Know that you already are. This moment right now, this quiet, restful, sacred now, is the seedbed of every miracle to come. It holds eternity in its palm. The future is not some fixed path waiting ahead. It is a living reflection of the state you choose in this present breath. Change the state, and the world must follow. If you want tomorrow to look different, then tonight must feel different. You must allow the new self, not the old version hoping for change, but the one who already lives in it, to rise and take its place. You're not climbing a ladder toward that version of you. You're unveiling it, revealing it, making room for it to step forward and be seen. And how do you do this? You don't shout, you don't strive, you become, you embody, you occupy the space of the answered prayer, not with effort but with grace, not with tension, but with surrender, not with analysis, but with emotional truth. And when doubts arise, as they sometimes will, return to the feeling, not with judgment, not with frustration, but with kindness. Come back to the scene, back to the self that already knows, back to the state. That is where your power lives. That is your spiritual home. You don't ask the universe as an outsider. You ask by embodying the answer. You speak through vibration, not words. You speak through belief, not requests. Your imagination is not passive. It's not idle. It's the most potent instrument of creation there is. When infused with feeling and held with focus, it shifts mountains. Even now, as your body lies still, the unseen is moving. The grid of reality is responding. What you set in motion internally is already forming its outer reflection. Yes, the changes may come through subtle shifts, through quiet signs, or they may arrive in grand, undeniable waves. But make no mistake, they are coming, because you dared to feel it, because you had the courage to live as if it were already true. There is no need to worry, no need to check. Creation is not a process you begin from scratch every time. It is complete. You are simply selecting your experience from the infinite gallery of possibilities. And once you choose, once you decide, it begins its journey to you, not always in the way you expect, not always on your preferred timeline, but inevitably, unfailingly, faithfully. The outer world doesn't decide who you are. You decide who you are, and the world follows. Your inner world is the script. Reality is just the stage crew. So tonight, keep your script sacred. Keep your assumption firm. Keep your heart open. Rest in the knowing that it is already done. And if tomorrow looks the same, if the evidence hasn't yet arrived, do not be discouraged. The seed has already been planted. It is growing, silently, steadily. And when it blooms, it will be unmistakable. Until then, trust yourself.
Trust the inner movement you made. Trust that the work of creation is already underway. And when the world presents contradictions, when the evidence seems delayed, don't react. Don't fight. Return. Return to your state. That is where your authority lies. The outer may resist, but it cannot prevail. The inner always leads. The inner always wins. So tonight ask not with anxiety, but with certainty. Declare silently, it is done. And let your soul rejoice in that knowing. Let your heart soften in that trust. And let your sleep become a sacred flight into the future you've chosen. You do not have to run after it. It's already on its way to you.
Because you dared to dwell in the end. And now, as your body relaxes into the depth of sleep, your work is complete. You have asked, not in words, but in being. You have received, not by chance, but by design. Let the old self, the one who doubted, who feared, who waited, fade now. Let the new self rise. Let the fulfillment begin. Not outside, but inside. Not someday, but tonight. There's nothing left to chase. There's no more mountain to climb. Now is the time to rest in the full awareness of completion. You're not pretending. You're not wishing. You are remembering. Remembering what the world tried to make you forget. That you are whole, worthy, powerful, and connected to every outcome your heart has ever longed for. And as you drift deeper, your very energy begins to change. Your vibration becomes a gentle pulse that calls forth all that matches it, not through magic, but through law. Unshakable, unbreakable law. Life doesn't respond to your effort. It responds to your inner certainty. It echoes not what you say, but what you assume. So tonight, become the assumption. Become the peace. Become the joy. Become the result. And that assumption will write the script of tomorrow. You don't need to say another word. You've already spoken. With your being. Let your final thought be love. Let your final breath be trust. And as you surrender to rest, know that something beautiful has begun. It cannot be undone. It cannot be denied. Because it has already been lived within you. Let it settle now. Let it feel so natural, so ordinary, that you forget it ever felt like something distant. Let the feeling of your wish fulfilled sink into you like the rhythm of your breath. Automatic, effortless, constant. The aim is no longer to get something, but to live in such harmony with it that you can't remember not having it. Allow this state, this inner reality, where your desire is already realized, to become your new normal. The one you wear without effort, the place you return to without resistance. And if tomorrow morning greets you with the same surroundings as yesterday, let your smile be your answer. Because you know, reality doesn't begin with what your eyes show you. It begins with what your heart accepts. And belief, true belief, is never shaken by a delay. It walks forward, blind to appearances, steady in trust. It doesn't tremble in the absence of proof. It doesn't beg for reassurance. It moves forward as though the promise has already been kept. It speaks as though the outcome is old news. It acts as if nothing could ever be more certain. You're not here to unravel the how. That's not your role. The unfolding, the connecting of dots, the orchestration of the unseen. That's the domain of the infinite intelligence that responds to your inner state. All you are asked to do is dwell in the feeling of the end. To sit, breathe, and live from the knowing that what you asked for is already done. You don't need a roadmap. You don't need to strategize your way into alignment. The next steps will show themselves, quietly, smoothly, and often so naturally that you'll miss them, unless you're truly present. A call you feel nudged to make. A yes to something that used to feel like a no. A turn you take that opens an entirely new direction. These are not coincidences. They are reflections of your internal shift. Because when you change the inner, the outer can't help but respond. Not always with thunder and lightning. Sometimes with silence and soft nudges. But always with alignment. There is no distance between you and the life you desire, except the one your mind invents. When you remove that imagined gap, when you merge with your desire, and make no separation between yourself and the outcome, the path appears. It must. That's how this works. One day not long from now, you'll remember this night. You'll look back on it and smile. Not because something miraculous exploded outside of you, but because something finally clicked inside. You changed your posture. You dropped the mask of waiting. You stopped chasing and began living. So return to that feeling again now. Call it back. Let it flood your being with the familiarity of something long known. Play the scene again, the one that says it's done. See it with color, with texture, with sound. Smell the room, feel the temperature, hear the voices. Let the whole experience bloom inside you like a memory, not of the past, but of the future that already lives within you. Make it vivid, make it so real that when your eyes open again, the world feels like it's catching up to what you already know. You are not asking for something far away. You're not pleading. You're stepping into something that already exists in the realm of your imagination, a realm that holds more truth than what your senses have yet to register. You're entering a room that was always there, just waiting for you to walk in. And once inside, your entire being shifts. You walk differently, speak differently, think differently, not because you're faking it, but because you're no longer disconnected from your truth. The universe isn't denying you. It's not ignoring you. It's simply waiting for you to align, to match the frequency of your desire, to believe with the ease of one who remembers. It always responds, always reflects, always mirrors the image you hold most strongly within. So what will you hold now? Will you accept the version of yourself who doubts, who delays, who waits endlessly for proof? Or will you accept the new story? Will you let go of who you were and slip fully into who you're becoming? The version of you that already is. You can, right now, sink into it. No resistance, no tension, just recognition. Don't look ahead with longing. Look ahead with familiarity. You've already seen this version of life in your dreams. You've tasted it in your emotions. You've touched it in your imagination. The future is the offspring of your current identity. The more you love it now, the more it blossoms later. The more you tend to it in feeling, the more it manifests in form. But if you return to fear, if you go back to questioning and hoping and waiting, then that too will grow, because energy follows attention, and creation follows assumption, and creation follows assumption. So guard the gate of your mind. Let only what nourishes you enter. Let your thoughts be rooted in joy, not fear, in fullness, not lack. And when the sun rises, don't step into the day hoping it brings you signs. Walk forward knowing you are the sign. Speak with certainty. Move with quiet power, not to impress, not to perform, but because you are now living the truth of what you've accepted within. You've rehearsed the scene so many times it's no longer an act. It's your identity. And the universe, it bows to identity. It must, because creation is already done, and it rearranges itself only in response to who you believe you are. Tonight, as you lay still once more, let the feeling wrap around you like warmth. Let it pour into every corner of your being. There is nothing else to prove, nothing else to do. You've already become the one who knows. That is power. That is presence. You've spoken the only language the universe listens to. The language of embodied feeling. The silent declaration that says it's mine. Not with desperation, but with certainty. With stillness. Let yourself drift even deeper now. Beyond thoughts, beyond logic. Into the place where nothing is missing. You are not trying to become. You are being. You are complete. And your desire, already fulfilled within, is now magnetizing its form. You're not separated from what you seek. You are one with it. Feel that. That unity. That deep calming connection. There's no more battle. No more grasping. Only being. And this being, it's your most powerful act of creation. You may not yet see the reflection, but you've already changed the image. And the world, the reflection, will follow. It must. Not always instantly, but always inevitably. The shift begins within. And once you shift, the outer world cannot remain the same. So trust it. Even if the change is slow, even if it comes in waves, it is sure, it is certain. The rhythm of life doesn't stumble. It doesn't forget. It listens to the whispers of your inner state. And tonight you whisper with every breath. It is done. You are no longer seeking from lack. You are breathing from fullness. Every inhale affirms your truth. Every exhale releases your doubt. This is your prayer. This is your ritual. This is your ritual. This is your silent agreement with the divine. An agreement sealed not with words, but with knowing. The greatest force in the universe doesn't live out there. It lives within you. It speaks when you imagine. It activates when you feel. It moves when you believe. This is not fantasy. This is function.
This is how your inner vision becomes your outer world. So tonight you are not merely falling asleep. You are planting the blueprint of your future. You are in dialogue with the most sacred part of yourself, the part untouched by fear or time, untouched by doubt or delay. And that part, it responds not with thoughts but with manifestation. You feel it real, and it becomes real. You imagine it vividly, and it finds form. Let this inner world become your most trusted compass. Let it guide you, not with force but with familiarity. Your outer sense is what you see, hear, touch. They only report on what's already old. But your imagination, that's the front line of creation. That's the true sight. What you envision with clarity and consistency will in time solidify. So feel it again, whatever it is. Love, abundance, healing, purpose. Feel the joy of it, the completion, the quiet relief. Let yourself laugh in anticipation. Let yourself rest in peace. Not because you're pretending, but because you've decided. You've chosen this reality. And what is chosen in imagination is always echoed in life. So when you rise tomorrow, do so with thanks, not for what's coming, but for what's already been claimed. Let that gratitude be your foundation. Let it be your frequency. And when doubt whispers, because it will, answer it with the louder, steadier voice of truth. Return to your inner world. Return to your vision. Return to the feeling, because that feeling is now your home. You are no longer visiting a dream. You are living it. The seed has been planted. The soil is rich. The harvest, inevitable. There's nothing more to force, nothing more to fix. Just this moment, this breath, this quiet surrender into the knowing that what you've chosen is already on its way. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breath deepen. Let your mind loosen its grip on how, on when, on where. Let go of all that now, and just feel, not effort, not imagination as work, but imagination as nourishment. Let the story of your fulfilled life, the life of the version of you who already has all that you once longed for, play through your mind like a lullaby, gentle, natural, sweet. You don't need to script every detail. You don't need to construct it brick by brick. You only need to feel. Let the image be simple. Someone looks at you with admiration, with pride. You hear the sound of a voice saying, "You did it." You feel the lightness of a chapter completed. You sense the calm in your chest, the kind of peace that only arrives when something long awaited becomes real. That feeling, that's your confirmation. And it's not in a far-off dream, or some unreachable future. It's here, inside you. You are not the seeker. You are the source. You are the opening through which the unseen becomes form. The mirror through which the world reflects back what you've come to accept. The deeper this truth settles into you, the more naturally your external life will rearrange itself to reflect it. This is not a moment of magic. It is a lifestyle of alignment, a commitment to choose your state, not by circumstances but by conviction. You're no longer living in the echo of what's missing. You're no longer reacting to absence. You've stepped into presence. You now breathe from fulfillment, think from wholeness, dream from infinite possibility. And just before sleep takes you tonight, let this thought ring louder than any other. It is done. Let it vibrate through your body. Let it take up residence in your chest. Let it outshine every fear, every fact, every old story you once believed. Let it be louder than logic. Let it be truer than time. It is done. And because it's done inside you, the world outside must soon rise to meet it. You don't need to repeat the request. You only need to remain in the feeling. That's it. Remain. Return to it when distracted. Revisit it when shaken. Rebuild it when the world seems contradictory. Hold it like a flame in the dark. Because everything else, every detail, every solution, every connection, is already finding its way to you. Quietly, smoothly, undeniably. So tonight, rest. Not just your body, but your spirit, your soul, your striving. Let them all rest in the deep assurance that the universe has heard your desire, your belief, your silent certain prayer. Sleep not in effort, but in ease. You've already done what matters most. You've felt it real. You've assumed the end. You've stepped into the state before the world had a chance to catch up. And in doing so you've spoken the most powerful language there is. A language beyond words. The language of embodiment. That's the secret the world misses. You don't speak to the universe with your mouth. You speak with your being. So now let your dreams continue the work. Let the night carry your new identity forward. For what is lived vividly within must be born in form. It is law, it is truth, and it is happening now. There is a reservoir of power within you, a divine force so vast that it holds the blueprint for everything you've ever asked for. It's not out there in the stars, not locked away in fate. It lives within you, in your thoughts, in your feelings, in your imagination. Whatever you're seeking, you already own the key. You don't need to wait for a miracle. You are the miracle. The secret lies not in hoping, not in begging, not even in waiting. The real secret is in knowing. Knowing so deeply, so completely, that you move through life as though the result is already in your hands. Walk as though the path is unfolding with every step. Smile as though the victory has already arrived. This isn't pretending. This is faith in motion. Faith is not idle. It is the most dynamic force you possess. It moves mountains, not because of what it sees, but because of what it believes. Wishing is passive. Faith creates. You cannot linger in longing and expect fulfillment. You cannot pray from emptiness and expect abundance. You cannot imagine from fear and expect love. You must embody the feeling of already having received. Close your eyes and ask yourself, what would it feel like if my greatest wish had already come true? Would your shoulders drop? Would your breath deepen? Would you smile without trying? Can you touch that feeling now? If yes, then you've found the doorway. If not, stay with it. Sit a little longer. Let the old noise fade. Let the new voice emerge. Because once you find that feeling, once you breathe from the place of it already being done, the law is set in motion.
This isn't about making something happen. This is about letting something unfold. The law of the universe does not respond to struggle. It responds to state. It responds to your dominant inner truth. And if that truth is lack, then lack will mirror back. But if that truth is joy, if it is certainty, if it is gratitude, then so too will your world echo it back to you in beautiful, brilliant ways. This is not about reciting empty affirmations. This is about shifting identity. When you rise tomorrow, rise as the one who already has. Speak like the one who already knows. Love like the one who is already surrounded. Move through your day in gratitude, not as a tool, but as a truth. Because the universe does not delay. It reflects. What you claim as truth within becomes the fact outside. The greatest roadblock, not the world. Never the world. The greatest barrier is the resistance we carry. The old voices of doubt, the whisper of limitation, the narrative of not yet. But those voices, they are echoes. They are shadows of an old self, one you've already outgrown. Don't argue with them. Don't fight them. Simply stop listening. And instead, choose the truth that serves you. If you seek love, be love. If you desire abundance, think abundantly. Give freely. Walk with confidence. If you yearn for success, act from the posture of someone who has already triumphed. Because the universe doesn't respond to wishful thinking. It responds to resonance. This isn't philosophy. It's not hopeful theory. This is the law that governs manifestation. Life does not discriminate. It reflects. If you persist in fear, in doubt, in waiting, then those will be your companions. But if you hold the frequency of the answer, the outcome, the victory, then it will find its way to you, through people, through places, through perfect timing. Most never receive, not because they lack the ability, but because they give up just before the bloom. They plant the seed, then dig it up to check the roots. They state their desire, then dissolve it with disbelief. The law cannot operate in hesitation. It requires conviction. You must walk with unwavering clarity. Not a single eye of doubt, not a whisper of contradiction. You must carry the outcome as your identity until it hardens into fact. The world says wait and see, but truth says believe then see. Your outer world is just a reflection, a shadow of what you've already accepted within. If you carry yourself as small, life will mirror that. But if you accept your greatness, if you assume your worth, then the world will rise to meet it. There is no force beyond you, shaping your reality. You are the artist, the sculptor, the creator, and your tool, assumption. So don't worry about the steps. Your mind will try to map the process, to dissect the path, to find proof. But your job is not the how. Your job is the now. Be the one who already has. The means will unfold. The people will appear. The moments will arrive. Everything will move in your favor. Because creation is complete. And you are simply selecting from the infinite what matches who you've become. It all begins in the unseen. Just as the mighty tree is once hidden in the smallest seed. Just as the painting begins in the artist's vision. So too is your fulfilled desire, already alive within your imagination. That is your reality now. So rejoice, celebrate, live in the joy of what's already yours. Love now, breathe now, rest now. Because the truth is, you're not far from your dream. You're in the middle of it. The only illusion is the belief in distance. And once that illusion fades, you'll see it was here all along. There is no delay, except a delay created by doubt. And tonight you let that go. You chose belief. You chose the feeling of it being done. You chose to live from the end, not wait for the end. And the world has no choice but to follow. The world around you, what you see with your eyes, what you hear with your ears, it only defines your future. If you agree to let it, if you allow the present circumstances to tell you who you are and what is possible, then you stay tethered to what has already passed. But if you choose to believe not in the seen, but in the imagined, not in what was but in what could be, then the story begins to change. The past loses its grip. The future opens. And the moment you declare your imagined reality as true, fully, deeply, without hesitation, that's the moment the world around you must begin to shift. Because it always follows your assumption. Always. Manifestation is not a reward for struggle. It is not a trophy for the hardest worker. It is not about pushing, forcing, or grinding through resistance. It's about alignment. It's about feeling. It's about living from the state of the wish already fulfilled. It is about walking not through the path, but from the destination. When you stop focusing on the process, when you stop staring at the mountain in front of you, and instead see yourself already on the summit, you stop being the climber. You become the one who has already arrived. And that's when things begin to move. This is the pivot, the great shift that changes everything. Most people, they wait, they hope, they delay their belief until some external sign grants them permission to finally accept what they desire. They wait for the phone call. They wait for the evidence. They wait for someone or something to prove to them that it's okay to believe. But waiting is a quiet declaration of disbelief. Waiting says, I'm not there yet. Waiting says, I don't have it. Waiting says, it's still out of reach. And the universe, it listens, it mirrors, it reflects that state of absence. But the one who lives as if the desire is already fulfilled, they don't wait, they live it, they walk it, they breathe it, they smile with a knowing that cannot be faked. You do not become wealthy by standing still, scanning your bank account for signs. You do not attract love by waiting for someone to love you first. You do not become whole by hoping your circumstances will fix themselves. You become what you desire by feeling it real. Now, not tomorrow. Now, you must wear that identity. You must embody it. You must feel the peace, the abundance, the love, not when it arrives, but as if it has already arrived. That's the signal. That's the vibration. If you want love, become it. Speak as if you are already treasured. Move as if someone holds you in their heart. Not because you're pretending, but because you've stopped looking for it outside yourself. You are no longer asking for it. You're living from it. That is when love finds you. If you want financial freedom, your thoughts must no longer orbit lack. You must stop talking about struggle. Stop focusing on what is missing, even before the money flows in. Walk as the one who gives generously, who feels secure, who already has more than enough. Because money responds not to need, but to energy. It is not summoned by fear. It is attracted by certainty. And if it is success you seek, then you must drop the cloak of hesitation. You must abandon the what-if questions that tie your feet to the floor. You must rise as the one who knows, not because of what you've done, but because of who you've decided to be. This is not fantasy. This is function. This is the divine machinery of creation, coded into the structure of consciousness itself. Every inventor, every trailblazer, every legend you've admired, they all knew this truth, whether they spoke it aloud or not. They didn't wait for the world to confirm their dream.
They became the embodiment of it. And the world had no choice but to respond. Your mind will resist this at first. It will shout, but nothing's changed. But I don't see it yet. And that's exactly where faith begins. Not in blind devotion to something external, but in sovereign trust of your own inner power. Don't try to force that belief. Don't strain. That isn't the way. Instead, ease into it. Let it settle like warm sunlight on your skin. Let it live in your imagination, so vividly, that it becomes indistinguishable from memory. And when doubt tries to creep in, and it will, don't fight it. Don't wrestle. Just return. Return to your state. Return to the scene of fulfillment. Return to the truth you've chosen. Because what you fight grows stronger. But what you no longer feed fades away. This is how you master the inner landscape. Not by brute force, but by shifting attention. And the more often you do this, the more natural it becomes. What once felt like effort begins to feel like ease. And soon, what was once just a beautiful daydream begins to take form. Quietly, smoothly, invisibly, until one day you realize it's here. And it feels inevitable. That's the true power of this process. Not control, not struggle, but surrender to the law. The law that says what you assume to be true becomes true. There are no exceptions. If you hold limitation as real, you will live inside it. If you hold abundance as real, even in the absence of evidence, it must appear. Because the universe does not grade desires by size or logic. It only responds to belief. This is not personal. It is principle. You must not take anything in life personally. Every event, every challenge, every triumph, it's all a reflection of the inner world. If you're seeing lack, it's because you've believed it somewhere within. If you feel rejection, examine the places you've rejected yourself. If life feels hard, ask yourself where you've assumed that it must be. And then, choose again. Assume differently. Declare a new truth. Step into a new version of yourself. And the reflection will follow. You are not separated from your dream. You're not cut off from it. There is no gatekeeper. There is no condition that must be met before you are allowed to receive. You are the creator. You are the chooser. And the moment you accept that with unwavering clarity, the world cannot help but move. Live now as the version of yourself who already has it all. Walk through your day as the one whose prayers are past tense. Speak from completion. Move with certainty. Smile with peace. And if you do this, consistently, sincerely, you won't need to wonder whether manifestation is real. You'll know, because you'll be living it. Creation isn't something that happens after you wait. Creation is something that happens when you decide. Waiting assumes time, and time is the illusion. Your desire isn't far away. It's a state away, and a state can be entered instantly. When you feel it, truly feel it, as already done, it is done. The world you see now is just a mirror of past beliefs. It's the delayed echo of who you used to be. It holds no power, unless you keep giving it power. You don't have to fight the old reality. You just have to stop believing it's the only one. Withdraw your attention from what is, and place it on what you've chosen, and the shift begins. Look around your life right now. Everything you see, every experience you're having, was once just a belief. Consciously or unconsciously, you accepted it as real, and so it became. But nothing is set in stone. Everything can be reimagined. And the moment you choose a new assumption, one rooted in joy, in peace, in certainty, the world begins to pivot. It's not about asking for permission. You're not a beggar. You're not outside the system hoping it will smile on you. You are the system. You are the author. You're not here to earn your desires. You're here to accept them. Your worth was never in question. So the only question now is, what will you accept as true? Because once you decide, once you feel, walk, speak, and live as though the answer has already arrived, the universe must obey, not out of kindness, not out of favor, but because it has no choice. That's the law, that's the secret, and that's your power. So don't just imagine your dream. Become the version of you who lives it, and everything else will come. You have never been apart from what you desire. This idea that you must struggle, prove yourself, exhaust your body and your mind before you can finally be worthy of what you seek, is the oldest illusion of all. It is the greatest deception, that you must earn what is already yours. The truth is simpler, more powerful, and more liberating than anything the world has taught you. Creation is already complete. Everything you could ever ask for, everything you've imagined, everything you've longed for, quietly in the still hours of the night, it exists. It is real. It is waiting, not for permission, not for time, but for your alignment. Your only task is to claim it. And what does it mean to claim? It means to abandon the hunger, to release the longing, to put down the burden of waiting. It means to step into the emotional certainty that what you desire is not coming. It is here, not someday. Now. You don't need to understand how it will come. That's not your responsibility. In fact, the more you try to map it out, the more you slide back into uncertainty, back into the realm of control and limitation. Your only responsibility is to live in the state of fulfillment. And when the winds of doubt begin to rise, because they will, your job is not to fight them, but to remember that what you see around you is just the echo. It's the residue of thoughts and feelings you once believed in. It is not permanent. It is not absolute. It is clay, and you are the sculptor. You must live now as the one who already has. You must think from the place of answered prayer, not about it. Feel from the destination, not the journey. Speak from fulfillment, not expectation. You don't stand in front of your desire. You step into it. You occupy it. If it's wealth that you seek, stop identifying with the one who is chasing it. Stop affirming your distance from it. Instead, put on the state of abundance. Feel the comfort, the freedom, the peace of having more than enough. Speak like one who gives. Move like one who has. Think like one who never doubts their supply. Because when you think from lack, you remain in lack. When you breathe from sufficiency, everything changes. If it's love that you desire, stop looking for someone to prove your worth. Let go of the story that love is something you must earn. Begin instead to embody the experience of being loved, completely, consistently, unconditionally. Walk with the softness of one who is cherished. Radiate the warmth of one who is never alone. And you will see that love is not found. It is matched. And if it is health you long for, cease speaking the language of illness. Refuse to let symptoms define you. Do not let a momentary condition become your identity. Instead, step into the reality of vibrant, radiant wellness. Feel it. Move in it. Live in the ease and strength of a body aligned with wholeness. Because your body is not your master. It is your mirror, and it reflects not what is real, but what is believed. There is no power out there deciding whether or not you can receive. There is only the power within, the power to choose what you will hold as true. That's the key. That's the truth. Every master has known. What you accept emotionally, what you embrace as already real, must unfold in time. You may be tempted to say, but I don't see it yet. And that's exactly the point. Creation doesn't happen in the visible. It begins in the invisible. It begins in the whisper, in the vision, in the quiet, unwavering knowing. By the time you see it, it's already old. The evidence is the final guest at the table, not the first. So don't be misled by appearances. Don't give authority to the outer world. Appearances are temporary. They're flexible. They are waiting for your instruction. You define the limits of what's possible. You sculpt the shape of the future. And if you will persist in the emotional certainty of the wish fulfilled, nothing can stop it from manifesting. Let go of waiting. Let go of the belief that time stands between you and your dream. Let go of the need to prove your worth. You already are worthy. You already are worthy. You already are enough. Step into your knowing. Live as if it is already done. Because when you do, when you truly make that your way of being, you'll uncover the greatest secret of all. You were never waiting on your dream. Your dream was waiting on you. It was waiting for you to drop the illusion of separation, to step past the veil of doubt, to remember your power. And once you do, the world shifts. Not because the world changed, but because you did. There is no force outside of you deciding your fate. The only thing shaping your reality is your assumption. What you feel deeply, what you believe without flinching, what you persist in thinking and being. That is what becomes form. This is not theory. This is law. When you understand this, you stop waiting. You stop reacting. You stop playing the game of appearances. You begin to live as the one who holds the pen. You become the cause. Life is not happening to you. It is happening through you. You're not an audience member watching a play. You are the writer, the director, and the star. If you want your script to change, then change what you're assuming. If you see lack around you, ask yourself, where have I planted the seed of lack in me? If you feel alone, ask, where have I withdrawn love from myself? If the path seems hard, ask where have I accepted the belief that struggle is required, and then change it. You don't need permission. You only need to decide. If you keep waiting for life to show you evidence before you believe, you will stay in that loop forever. The proof comes after the belief. The harvest comes after the planting. It cannot be reversed. So you must live now, as the one who already has. When you speak, let your words reflect the peace of fulfillment. When you walk, let your posture say, I am already there. When you breathe, let it be a rhythm of trust, because your emotions will always tell you where you're living. When you feel anxious, you're in the place of not having. When you feel calm, grateful, settled, you are aligned with the version of you that already holds the thing you seek. And the more time you spend in that state, the more natural it becomes. It becomes your home, and soon, your home begins to take shape outside of you. Because the universe doesn't respond to empty repetition, it responds to frequency, to alignment, to being. So if it's wealth you desire, stop checking your account for validation. Feel wealthy now. Smile like someone who has enough. Give like someone who has enough. Give like someone who's overflowing. Think like someone who's never known lack. If you want love, stop waiting for the message, the glance, the perfect moment. Be love now. Open your heart now. Let the joy of connection live in you, before it ever shows up outside you. And if you want healing, stop measuring your progress by symptoms. Stop identifying with the pain. Step into the version of yourself who has already healed. Let that energy become stronger than your memories, stronger than your history, stronger than your senses. Because nothing outside of you holds the power to define you, unless you allow it. You are the authority. You are the source. You are not earning your desires. You're claiming them. And when you claim something in consciousness, when you refuse to waver, refuse to contradict it with your thoughts or emotions, when you live as though it's already yours, the world has no choice but to deliver it, because that is the law, and creation never fails to obey. Yes, many will tell you that it's hard, that life demands struggle, that success requires suffering, but those who say this do not know the truth. They do not see the inner mechanics of reality. They are operating by effort, by reaction, by fear. But you are moving by alignment. You are not working your way to your desires. You are becoming the version of you who already has them. And that changes everything. The outer world must catch up. It must mirror the state you've adopted, because what you hold consistently within becomes the only truth that matters. So don't wait. Don't delay belief. Don't seek evidence before trust. Trust and the evidence will come. Persist in your knowing. Hold to your vision. Refuse to be shaken by the world's old image. Because one day soon, effortlessly, naturally, perfectly, you will look around and realize you've stepped into everything you imagined. And in that moment, you will know, it was never separate. It was always waiting for you to say, it is done. Never let the circumstances, before you define what you believe. What surrounds you now, the visible, the tangible, is not your truth. It's only the echo of past thoughts. It is the fading after image of who you once were, the reflection of what you once accepted as real. If you judge your life by what is, you remain bound to a cycle that never ends. You recreate the same situations, repeat the same patterns, live the same story, again and again. But when you look beyond what is seen, when you dare to accept that what you assume, what you deeply feel, what you choose to believe, will inevitably become real, then you unlock the truth that nothing is permanent. Nothing is beyond transformation. Nothing is beyond transformation. Nothing is beyond your influence. Every day, you must walk as if the desire in your heart has already come to pass. Not tomorrow, not one day, but now. Speak as someone who has already received. Move with the confidence of someone whose dream is not arriving. It has arrived. Because the world responds to clarity. It echoes back your certainty. If you asked with hesitation, if you wish quietly and doubtfully, if you say maybe, or I hope, life will mirror that back to you. Hesitation begets hesitation. Hope begets waiting. But if you declare from within, it is already mine, the universe begins to take shape around that belief. You are not here to figure out the mechanics. You are not required to know the steps or trace the path. The moment you try to engineer the outcome, you invite confusion and create distance between you and the result. Your only task is to live from the state of fulfillment, undisturbed by appearances, unbothered by time, unshaken by the lack of immediate evidence. Because you will be tested. There will be mornings when nothing seems to have changed. Days when it appears that your desire remains out of reach. These are not setbacks. They are mirrors, asking, do you still believe? Many abandon the vision in this phase. They let fear speak louder than faith. But not you. You hold firm. You know that the outer world is simply catching up to the shift already made within. This is the secret. The outer world is always a few steps behind the inner world. So you remain. You remain in the knowing. You remain in the feeling. You remain in the certainty that what is real in you must become real around you. If you want freedom, you must think from the position of one who is already free. If you seek love, you must feel as though love already surrounds you. If you desire wealth, walk in the mental atmosphere of abundance now, even if your surroundings try to convince you otherwise. You do not wait for the world to change before you feel different. You feel different, and then the world changes. You don't ask how long will it take. You don't need to. The question of how and when belongs to a limited mind, still bound by fear. You've moved beyond that. You've stepped into the frequency of knowing. You've let the feeling of fulfillment become your baseline, your foundation. It wakes with you in the morning. It lingers with you at night. It becomes your atmosphere, your identity, your natural state of being. Most people struggle to manifest not because they're unwilling to dream, but because they entertain two opposing states. They speak of abundance, while thinking from lack. They affirm love, but feel alone. They visualize success, and then brace themselves for failure. This contradiction keeps them in a holding pattern, always reaching but never arriving. You will not live that way. You will choose your state, and remain there, not for a moment, not for a day, but until it becomes who you are. You are not chained to your past. You are not the stories you've repeated. You are not defined by yesterday's failure. At any moment, you can shift. You can release the fear, the doubt, the guilt, the shame, and you can claim the role you were always meant to play, the creator of your reality. This is not about trying harder. This is not about doing more. This is about surrendering to the deepest truth, that it's already done. What you imagined is as real as anything you can touch. And when you relax into that, when you walk from that, the world bends to match your assumption. There is nothing more to chase, no approval to earn, no proof to seek. You only need to become. Become the one who already has. Become the version of yourself who no longer waits. Become the one who no longer doubts. Because the instant you take that identity fully, the world will confirm it. This is how change happens. This is how creation moves from the inside out. Do not wait for joy to arrive. Be joy now. Do not wait to be loved. Be love now. Do not wait for success. Step into it now. The outside world can only reflect what you've accepted within. If someone questions you, do not waver. If the world presents a contradiction, do not be moved. You are not here to be convinced by appearances. You are here to demonstrate the law. You are here to embody the truth. Those who wait for evidence wait forever, but those who assume without needing proof, they receive everything. The only thing separating the extraordinary from the average is belief. The extraordinary do not hope. They do not wish. They do not ask for permission. They accept.
They declare, and the world answers. So rise with confidence. Act from completion. Speak from fulfillment. And when things begin to unfold, when opportunities appear, when doors open, when people and events align in ways that once seemed impossible, you won't be surprised. You won't marvel. You'll nod, because you knew. You knew that life has never happened to you. It has only ever responded to you. And now you are no longer reacting. You are commanding. There is no force outside of you determining what is possible. There is no authority higher than your assumption. What you believe is true must become true. There is no exception, no loophole, no alternate path. This is the law, and it is always in motion. Look at your life. Look at every detail. It is the printout of previous beliefs, a reflection of what you accepted as possible, whether you realized it or not. If you've lived in struggle, it's because you once assumed that struggle was part of the process. If you felt rejected, it's because you unknowingly believed yourself rejectable. If you've experienced scarcity, it's because you believed in lack. But just as easily as you assumed those things into being, you can now assume something different, something greater. You hold the pen, you set the tone, you decide what comes next, and it takes no time, no delay, no waiting, just a shift. The world will not change first. You will, and then it must follow. So stop thinking of your desire as something separate. Stop imagining it far away. Start thinking from it. Start moving from it. Feel the relief, the peace, the joy of already being there. Let that be your new default. Let it erase every shadow of doubt. Let it guide your steps from now on. Because the moment you live as if it's already yours, it is. That's the truth. That's the way. That's how creation works. And when the results come, and they will, you will feel no need to celebrate in disbelief. You'll simply smile, because in your heart, it was already done. You cannot rise while still clinging to what was meant to fall away. You cannot step forward into divine alignment, while your hands are full of what no longer serves your soul. You cannot carry the weight of your higher purpose, while still grasping the people, patterns, and beliefs that have already expired. So sometimes, without warning, without explanation, things are removed, people drift, doors close, comforts collapse, and it hurts, doesn't it? It feels like loss, like rejection, like betrayal. But it's not. It's refinement. It's not punishment. It's positioning. You are being recalibrated. You are being aligned with a future that the present can't comprehend. The relationships that walked away, they were never meant to walk with the next version of you. The doors that slammed shut, they were protecting you from entering rooms not built to hold your purpose. The places you outgrew, they were always temporary. This is elevation disguised as solitude. And yes, it can feel like abandonment, like silence, like standing in the aftermath of something that once made sense. But trust this, you are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are being set apart, not to diminish you, but to redefine you. This is the space where you stop depending on what is external and start remembering what is eternal. In this stillness, God is not absent. He is closer than ever. And the quiet you feel is not rejection. It's invitation. It's clarity. It's the sacred moment where everything unnecessary falls away so that everything essential can rise. You were never created to blend in. You were never meant to follow the noise of the crowd. You were not born to walk paths already paved by others. You were built to lead, to illuminate, to carry something different, something divine. And so when the calling on your life became louder, the noise around you had to fade. It's not a mistake. It's not a setback. It's the shift. It's the divine strategy that prepares you for the place you are being called to stand. And yes, it's lonely, but you must learn to honor the loneliness, not resist it, to sit in it and let it strip you bare, not to harm you, but to reveal the truth that was buried beneath distraction, dependency, and fear. Because when all is removed, you finally remember who you are. And who you are is not defined by applause, not by approval, not by roles or relationships or routine. You are not who people say you are. You are who God says you are. Chosen, designed, equipped, enough. There's a mystery to being set apart that logic can't solve. There's a transformation that happens in solitude that no crowd can provide. This moment, right now, where you feel empty, it's not emptiness, it's space. It's sacred space. Space for healing, for vision, for reformation. It's the quiet room where old patterns are broken and new power is born. Look at the pattern woven through the lives of those who have carried light into darkness. Moses, before he could speak to kings, was stripped of everything and sent to the wilderness. Joseph, before he wore the robe of royalty, sat forgotten in prison. David, anointed by God, spent years in caves before he ever touched the throne. Even Christ himself, before miracles, before ministry, withdrew to the desert, alone. Why? Because isolation is not exile, it's encounter. Because there are things you can only learn in silence, strength you can only gain in stillness, a voice you can only hear when all others have gone quiet. So if you find yourself in the middle of a season, where nothing seems certain, where people have left, where plans have crumbled, and you feel like you're standing alone in a space you never asked for, then know this. You are standing in sacred ground. This is not your undoing. This is your awakening. You're not being left behind. You're being positioned ahead. And though the process feels disorienting, the purpose is divine. The things that fell apart, they were not the foundation. They were scaffolding, temporary supports meant to guide you for a season, not accompany you forever. So release them. Let go with gratitude, not resentment. Surrender the illusion that you are lacking, because nothing essential can ever be taken from you. The ones meant to walk with you will find you again, on the other side of this transformation. The right opportunities will open at the appointed time. The right alignment will return, but not before you meet the version of yourself that this silence was designed to reveal. And that version, that's the one the world is waiting for. That's the version who no longer seeks validation, who no longer begs for affirmation,
who no longer needs to prove worth to be worthy. That version of you is emerging now in this quiet, in this isolation, in this sacred divine unfolding. So let the silence be your teacher. Let the solitude be your sanctuary. Let the stillness shape you, not into who you were, but into who you were always meant to be. This is not the end of your story. It's the prologue to a new chapter. It's the space where heaven begins to rewrite your narrative. And yes, it's hard, it's heavy, but it's holy. You may feel like you're losing things, but in truth you're shedding. You're shedding identities that were too small. You're shedding habits that kept you hidden. You're shedding beliefs that told you were less than enough. And underneath all of that, under the layers of noise, fear and striving, is the original you, the you that was handcrafted for something greater. And when the time comes, when the season shifts, and the doors begin to open again, because they will, you will not return the same. You will return transformed. You will return whole. You will return carrying wisdom born of silence, power born of solitude, and peace that the world cannot give or take away. You will move differently, speak differently, stand differently, because you will know, deep in your bones, that what was taken was not a loss. It was preparation. That what was closed off was not rejection. It was protection. And that this season of stillness was not a delay. It was alignment. So if you are walking a quiet road, don't rush through it. Don't try to force the next step. Stay present, breathe deeply, and listen. Listen, not with your ears, but with your heart. Because in this stillness you'll hear the whisper of destiny, and it will say, you were never alone, you were being made. And when the world sees you again, they won't recognize the you that emerges, because you'll shine with something unshakable. Not the old version shaped by fear, but the new version shaped by truth. Not the version built by noise, but the one refined by silence. Not the person who hoped, but the person who knows. So now, walk in faith, rise in silence, glow from within, because everything is unfolding exactly as it was meant to. And the person you are becoming, they've been waiting for you all along. There is a strength that can only be formed in stillness, a kind of power that's not born in public applause, but in private refinement. It's forged quietly, in the waiting, in the silence, in the solitude. And now, that strength is rising in you. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but it's unshakable. It's the strength of someone who has walked through the wilderness and did not turn back. The strength of someone who has stood in the quiet, unrecognized by the world but recognized by the divine. So trust this. Trust the unfolding. Trust that every quiet hour of separation, every unanswered question, every unfamiliar turn in your path, is leading you closer, not just to a better version of your life, but to your higher self, the self that's been waiting on the other side of everything you've had to let go. And when the time is right, when the refining is complete, things will begin to open, not slowly, not with effort, but effortlessly. The right people will show up, the right doors will swing open, the opportunities you once chased will find their way to you. But for now, stand still, stay grounded in your faith. Embrace the quiet. Trust that you are right where you're meant to be. If you've been feeling distant, if the world feels like it's moving on without you, if familiar faces are slipping out of your life, and the places that once brought comfort now feel empty, know this isn't random. This is sacred. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. You're not being forgotten. You're being focused, because there's something on your life too large to carry, while holding on to the old. And so the separation comes, the solitude deepens, and the distractions fall away. This is not rejection. This is redirection. It's elevation disguised as isolation. You cannot walk into your next chapter carrying the weight of your last one. And so you're being asked to release. Release the need for validation. Release the need for validation. Release the attachments that no longer align with your path. Release the belief that solitude means you are alone. You are not alone. You are being carved, molded, strengthened, all so you can hold what's coming. Everything you once leaned on, people, roles, routines, is being gently removed. And it hurts, but it's holy, because it's teaching you to lean inward. It's teaching you to trust the divine source that has always been with you. This is where you discover something powerful, that your identity isn't tied to what you have. It's rooted in who you are becoming. You are not defined by what you've lost. You are revealed by what you've endured. And if it's quiet now, if it feels like you're standing in an empty room, Understand this. It's only because the noise had to leave, so the truth could speak. Do not resist the changes. Do not mourn what's leaving. What's meant for you cannot be lost. What falls away is making room. What departs is clearing the space. And what feels like a pause is really divine preparation. You are being readied for something bigger than what your present eyes can see. And yes, with that preparation comes growing pains. With that growth comes discomfort. With that becoming comes release. You're not shrinking. You're expanding. You're not breaking. You're being rebuilt. You're not behind. You're being positioned. The world will tell you to fear this stillness. That silence is a void. That being alone means being unloved. But the world is wrong. This silence is sacred. This stillness is strength. This solitude is strategy. Because in this space, you begin to hear the voice that never competes for attention. The voice of purpose, of peace, of God. It whispers, you are not who you were. And it's right. You're evolving. Your mind is shifting. Your desires are refining. Your purpose is clarifying. And the old patterns, the ones that once felt like home, no longer fit the shape of who you're becoming. If you're in this season, do not let fear convince you that you're forgotten. Do not let your old stories convince you that you're disqualified. You're not. You are chosen. You are being positioned for something beyond what you could have ever prepared for on your own. What feels like emptiness is actually abundance forming. What feels like silence is divine instruction. And what feels like loneliness is actually the removal of everything false, so that what's real, what's true, what's lasting, can finally arrive. The world tells you success comes from constant movement, constant exposure, constant connection, but real transformation, that happens in hiddenness. The seed grows underground, long before it breaks the surface. The tree builds its roots before it ever shows its branches. The diamond forms under pressure, not praise. And you are forming now. You are being shaped, out of view, away from the spotlight, so that when the moment comes you won't just arrive. You'll emerge, whole, aligned, unstoppable. You do not need to explain your silence. You do not need to justify your solitude. You do not need to defend your distance. Some journeys are not meant to be understood until after the breakthrough. So stop apologizing for changing. Stop explaining your calling to those not meant to carry it. Stop fearing the silence. Start listening to it. Start embracing it. Start trusting what is happening beneath the surface. Everything you're experiencing right now, every pause, every shift, every quiet hour, is working together to bring you into alignment with your deepest purpose. This is not a chapter of loss. This is the chapter where everything within you is recalibrated. You are learning that joy is not dependent on circumstances. That peace is not something the world gives. It's something you carry. That fulfillment does not come from the external, but from the sacred recognition of who you've always been. You are no longer the person who begs for attention. You no longer need to be filled by the world to feel whole. You are enough, because you have finally met the version of yourself that's rooted in truth, not approval. When the world sees you again, they will not understand the depth of what has happened inside of you, but they will feel it. They will notice it. They will be drawn to the light you carry, not the surface glow but the radiance that only grows in the dark. And you will not need to prove it. You will not need to explain it, because the change will speak for itself. So let the solitude shape you. Let the silence speak to you. Let the old version of you fall away, and let the person you were always meant to be rise. You're not being delayed. You're being defined. You're not being set aside. You're being set apart. And what's coming for you? It's not just better. It's divine. There will come a time when everything makes sense. But that time is not now. Not because it's not meant to, but because right now you are being shaped, not explained. The unfolding is still in motion. The masterpiece is still wet on the canvas. And though the colors may seem unconnected, though the brushstrokes feel unpredictable, you must know this: it's not chaos. It's art. It's design. It's divine timing in its most sacred form. Every door that will open, every opportunity that will arrive, every person who is meant to walk beside you, none of them are late. None of them are missing. They're simply waiting for alignment. And your task is not to rush. It's to trust. To wait, not with anxiety, but with assurance. To remain, not with frustration but with faith. Even when the room is silent. Even when the path ahead seems still. Even when your senses whisper that nothing is changing. Remember, the most important shifts are always hidden first. Just like roots growing deep beneath the soil. Before the tree ever breaks the surface, you too are growing, quietly, invisibly, powerfully. Something is forming in you that your current eyes are not yet meant to see. But when the time is right, when the foundation is strong, everything you've been prepared for will emerge without resistance. That's the promise. That's the process. And right now in this stillness you are not waiting for life to start. You are being prepared to live it at a level you've never known. So stop fearing the pause. Stop assuming that the silence means you've been forgotten. You haven't been abandoned. You're being aligned. You haven't been delayed. You're being developed. This is not empty space. This is sacred ground. A refining fire, burning away the illusions, the attachments, the patterns that once kept you small. You are being taught to stand in your own presence, to draw strength from the well that no one else can see, to move forward with the kind of clarity that cannot be borrowed from the world. Because what's coming for you is too important to be built on shaky foundations. It requires a you that knows who you are, even when no one else is clapping. That is the gift of this solitude. That is the invitation of this silence. And yes, it will ask much of you. It will ask you to let go of what you once relied on. Titles, routines, relationships, and even versions of yourself you once thought were permanent. It will ask you to trust in what you cannot see, to walk forward without a map, to believe without proof. But in return it will give you everything you need. You will come to know that your strength is not conditional, that your peace is not based on external calm, that your power does not come from what's around you, but from the stillness within you. This is the rebirth. This is the sacred reset. You are not breaking. You are being reassembled into someone clearer, stronger, more true. And that transformation cannot happen when you're still entangled in what used to be. That's why the old is falling away. That's why it no longer fits. That's why you feel like you're shedding layers you didn't know you were wearing. It's not regression, it's revelation. The world may not see what's happening inside of you right now. They may not understand why you've gone quiet, why you've withdrawn, why you no longer show up in the same rooms, or speak the same language. But you do. You feel the change. You feel the detachment. You feel the becoming. And that's enough. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be aligned. You are not here to fit in. You are here to rise. So stop trying to explain a path that others were never meant to walk. Stop seeking reassurance from those who cannot see what you see. You were not given your vision so that it could be validated. You were given it so it could be realized. That's what this season is for. To shape you into the person who doesn't wait for permission to walk in purpose. To teach you that what's meant for you doesn't need to be forced. Because when you become who you're meant to be, what's meant for you will find you naturally. The right doors will not require pushing. The right people will not require convincing. The right opportunities will not require chasing. They will come, because you will have become. And when they come you won't be shocked. You won't be surprised. You won't feel unworthy. You will simply nod, because you'll know, this was always mine. But you don't get there by holding on to the past. You don't step into destiny while dragging dead weight. You must be willing to let go, not just of people or places but of patterns, of habits that drain you, of thoughts that belittle you, of stories that shrink you. You must be willing to release the person you were, in order to become the one you're being called to be. And that takes courage. Because the old version of you is familiar, it's comfortable, it's predictable, but it's also outdated. And what's ahead of you requires more trust, more surrender, more depth. This is why solitude is a gift, because it strips away the distractions, because it quiets the external noise long enough for you to hear your own soul speak. And in that quiet, you discover something incredible. You were never dependent on external approval. You were never lacking anything essential. You were never powerless. You were simply covered by fear, covered by expectation, covered by noise. And now all of that is falling away. You're not being emptied. You're being revealed. So stop looking backward. Stop clinging to the familiar. Stop trying to force what no longer fits. The people who have left, let them go. The opportunities that didn't work out, they were never meant for who you're becoming. The silence you feel, it's not a void. It's an echo chamber for your highest truth. Let it speak. Let it teach. Let it remind you that you were never meant to stay hidden. You were meant to rise. This is your preparation ground. This is where your roots go deep. This is where you are forged. And one day when you look back, when everything has unfolded, when the light has broken through, when you are walking in the fullness of the life you were meant for, you look at this season with reverence, with gratitude, because it was here, in the quiet, that you found the strength you didn't know you had, the clarity you didn't know you needed, and the connection to something greater than anything this world could offer. You were not forgotten. You were being fortified. You were not being left behind. You were being lifted. And when you rise, you will carry something the world cannot ignore, the power of someone who met their own soul in the silence and came back whole. There is something within you being built in silence, something so profound, that when it finally rises, it will speak louder than any words ever could. You won't have to announce it. You won't have to prove it. You won't even have to explain it, because the shift within you will be undeniable. It will radiate from the way you move, the way you speak, the way you show up. And when the world notices, and you'll no longer be seeking their recognition. By then you'll be rooted in your truth so deeply, that no opinion can uproot you, no judgment can shake you, no absence can unbalance you. This is what solitude does. This is the gift of being set apart, not because you were cast aside, but because you were chosen for something more. And yes, the journey is hard. Yes, the silence stretches long. Yes, the stripping away feels like loss. But you cannot take the weight of your past into the future that's being made for you. You cannot carry the old into the new and expect to soar. There must be a release, a surrendering, a sacred letting go. Only when your hands are empty can you receive what's been waiting for you all along. You may not understand this season now, but one day you will. One day you'll look back and see this as the turning point. The moment everything began to shift. The moment you stopped searching outward and turned inward. The moment you stopped asking why me, and started whispering thank you, because you'll see then that every unanswered prayer was a redirection, that every lonely night was a classroom, that every silent chapter was filled with invisible construction, laying the groundwork for a life that was always meant for you. So breathe, trust this unfolding, trust that what is being removed is not loss, it is clearing, trust that what feels like isolation is actually elevation, trust that you are not being punished. You are being positioned. You are being shaped into the version of yourself who is ready, not just to receive, but to sustain everything you've asked for. And when that time comes, when the refining is complete, the things you once chased will arrive with grace. No struggle, no striving, just divine alignment. You won't feel the urge to grasp. You won't feel the need to control. You will simply know this was always mine. The timing of your life is not random. The shifts, the pauses, the delays, each one is part of the architecture of something greater. You are not being held back. You are being made ready. And readiness has nothing to do with doing more. It has everything to do with becoming more aligned, more aware, more surrendered. Because when what you've been praying for shows up, you won't just receive it. You'll embody it. You will carry it not as a burden, but as an extension of who you've become. That's why this quiet space matters. That's why you've been pulled into stillness. Because the version of you that is emerging is not fragile. They're not moved by storms. They are steady, refined and aligned. There is nothing to rush. There is nothing to force. What is meant for you will always find you. And when it does, you'll be able to hold it. Not because you chased it, but because you became the person who could. So honor this solitude. Honor this season where things seem unclear. Because it's not confusion. It's sacred concealment. It's growth without spectacle, and it's working. Even if you can't see the fruits just yet, the roots are growing deep, strong enough to carry a future you've barely begun to imagine. You may feel tired, you may feel stretched, but you are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are being calibrated. Everything around you may look the same, but everything within you is changing, expanding, preparing. This is the part no one talks about, the quiet climb, the hidden healing. The rebuilding that happens when no one is watching, and when the doors do open, when the blessings flow in, what once overwhelmed you will now feel natural, because this time you'll be ready. This time you won't question if you're worthy. You'll walk through every open door, knowing that you are, and it won't feel like achievement, it will feel like alignment. The silence you're sitting in is not an absence, it's a presence. It's a presence, so powerful it demands stillness. Because you are not just learning to receive, you're learning to carry, to hold your destiny with grace, to walk in your purpose with clarity. And that requires foundation, depth, trust. You are not just preparing for a moment, you are being prepared for a movement, a future that extends beyond you. Your growth right now isn't only for you, it's for generations after you. So this transformation, it's holy. The waiting, it's not wasted. The tears, they're watering tomorrow. And the silence, it's the sound of construction. You are not in a void, you are in the womb of purpose. And in due time, what has been forming will be born. You won't have to explain it. The transformation will speak louder than anything you say. But for now, become the person who doesn't need to chase anything. Become the person who no longer seeks to be seen. Become the one who walks in quiet knowing, who trusts without question, who surrenders without resistance. Because everything is coming. And when it arrives, you won't be surprised. You'll be ready, you'll be grounded. And you'll realize that the solitude was never a punishment. It was permission. Permission to heal. Permission to grow. Permission to be made new. So keep walking. Keep trusting. Keep becoming. Because the person you are evolving into, they are destined to hold the very things you've long prayed for.